I remember that I was at work, typing up some useless spreadsheet when I got the phone call. It felt like my whole world was crashing around me. My beloved Granny, the one who would sing me to sleep when I was scared, the one who always had a warm hug and a plate full of cookies at the ready when my parents fought, the one who loved me unconditionally, was diagnosed with Alzheimer's. The next few weeks after were torturous. With every passing day, she got worse. Even the most easy tasks seemed draining and tiresome for her. It soon became a chore to get her to eat or drink anything. Slowly, she began to waste away. Not just physically, but also in spirit. The mischievous gleam in her eyes was gone, and her eyes now seemed empty and lifeless. It always felt like I was talking to a hollow shell of a person. But the worst thing was, she began to forget who I was. She still knew the quiet little boy she so dearly loved, but didn't connect him with the man who would visit daily and leave notes around the house. Sometimes she would ask me where that little boy was and why he would never come around to visit anymore. Whenever I would try to tell her, she would block me out and continue as if it never happened. Every single time I saw her, another crack would form inside my heart until I couldn't take it anymore. I'm ashamed to say this, but it felt better when I could just pretend Granny was the same woman who would sing me to sleep when I was scared and always had warm hugs and a plate full of cookies at the ready whenever my parents fought and loved me unconditionally. I knew somewhere in her gray dual eyes she was the same. It was too hard, though. It was too hard to hear her repeat the same couple of sentences. It was too hard to see her clothes hanging off her frail, almost skeletal frame. It was too hard knowing it was irreversible and would only get worse. So I hired a nurse, Beth, to look after her full time. I gradually stopped visiting daily, instead opting to visit only once a month. It was during one of those last visits I first heard about the girl. For those 2 hours I spent with her, the girl under the stairs was all she could talk about. The stairs in Granny's house were small, very narrow, and way too dangerous for an 80-year-old woman. That's why I turned the old dining room into a bedroom and put notes all over the house to remind her to never try to go up them, in case Beth wasn't there. Underneath the stairs was nothing but an old, stained wall. We have these lovely conversations, you see. I think you'd quite like her. She's awful nice, Granny would say. Of course, I assumed that this was just another cruel effect of the Alzheimer's, so I just brushed it off. Yet, I couldn't shake off the creepy sense of dread. I kept trying to steer the conversation away from the girl, yet every attempt was squashed. The few visits after that all revolved around the girl and their chats. I can't remember a lot of what Granny said in the final visit, but I do remember she said this. The girl says she needs to get out. I have to let her out. I left very quickly that day. I woke up that night to the sound of my phone ringing. As soon as I answered the call, I could hear Beth's panicked voice rambling through the speakers. There's been an accident. An accident. She paused, taking a gulp of air. An accident involving Yvonne. She... I found her clawing at the wall. There was blood everywhere. She sobbed. Once she'd calmed herself down, she tried again. She'd found a knife and but trailed off, unable to even begin to describe the horrible things she found. I don't know when Beth or I hung up, or even how I managed to get in the car and drive over. But I do know that the small house that Granny had since I was a child was surrounded with police cars. I do know that for years they were still puzzling over what happened to Granny. I do know that Beth witnessed Granny tearing her own heart out after leaving a little message on the wall underneath the stairs in blood. I do know that message said, "I'm coming for you next." I do know that that message was meant for me. And I do know that I should never have killed little Mary Sue and stashed her under the stairs.